What's up, everyone? Thanksgiving week is here. It's NFL Week 13, and we're taking a look at the Thanksgiving-only three-game slate. One of my favorites of the year, actually. One of my favorite slates to play. We're going to break it all down. I'm separating the Thanksgiving first look from the main slate first look, just so we can give it the attention it deserves here. Because, like I said, for me, the Thanksgiving slate is one of my favorites of the year. I'm going to tell you why. Mainly, it's because when you're at Thanksgiving, how fun is it to be watching the games with a rooting interest? You're talking to everybody, and you don't really have to do much because you're just hanging out watching football all day while other people are prepping the food and hosting and doing all that kind of stuff that we don't want to do. We want to make some money. We want to bet. We want to watch the games with a rooting interest. We want to be screaming at the Thanksgiving table when a touchdown happens. Yeah, let's go. And they're like, what the hell's wrong with you? That's what we want to be doing. So let's get into it. Thanksgiving slate. And of course, the main thing we want to do when we start looking at a slate like this is just get an overview of the three games and get a sense of what's going on, right? So we start out with the Bears at the Lions. Lions have a 29-point team total here. They're supposed to smash. You know, the Bears coming off a great game last week. You know what? Caleb Williams looked really, really good out there, slinging it, throwing it to everybody. Keenan Allen, 15 targets last week, but everybody got in on the action. Odunze got 10. DJ Moore got the least with just 7, but he caught them all. So that team looks really good. They have a bunch of wide receivers that are cheap, that are getting tons of targets. And, of course, Detroit is just smashing right now. They got a Q tag going on Montgomery. Wow, if he's out, are we going to load up on some Jahmyr Gibbs, right? So excited about that one. Giants at Dallas, that's the stinker. But maybe it's not that big of a stinker. I don't know, 37.5-point total. The only thing that really stands out for me in this one, certainly both running backs. Neither team stops the run very well. And, you know, cheap pieces maybe. It's not looking like a really good game, a stinker. And then the nightcap is a really nice-looking game, 47-point total. Miami at Green Bay. Green Bay looking like one of the best teams in the league right now. They are looking good. And I could see some fireworks happening in that game, especially on the Packers side. You know, both defenses have been pretty good, but, you know, I could see some fireworks happening in that one. Let's go and do a quick sort by fantasy points per dollar here. And, yeah, I'm seeing Keenan Allen, DJ Moore there popping a little bit. Rome Odunze. So some names, some familiar names there. Running back, you know, Tyrone Gibbs, A-Chan. So many good plays. So many good plays on this slate. So this should be a fun one to break down here. Let's jump over to the DraftKings screen. We're going to go through it position by position. We're going to talk about each player and thoughts on the overall slate. Now, a big question that comes up quite a bit is like, how do you attack this thing in terms of what style of contest do we want to play in on a 3-game slate? And this is very much like an afternoon-only slate as well. I think the primary thing we want to do is attack big tournaments. Now, again, warning, this tournament that I'm showing on screen, this $1 million to first, it is fun. It's only $5 for $1 million, but there are how many? 200,000? No, there's going to be almost 600,000 entries in a small 3-game slate, and the vast majority of that money goes to first place. $1 million to first is 33% of the player pool. So this is what I call a money loser. If you didn't win $1 million and you max this type of contest out, you're probably losing 50 to 70% of your money. And that's if you put in good lineups. So be forewarned. This is not the kind of contest that I suggest. Have some fun, buy some lotto tickets. But if we're going to make money on Thanksgiving, it's probably not going to come from this, the Thanksgiving 2.5 millionaire. So just be aware, you will lose money. That's less fun. So we're going to talk about some other contest types that you can get into and have a lot more fun, like multipliers, which are perfectly appropriate for Thanksgiving, and of course, smaller tournaments. So when you build a great lineup, you can actually benefit from it. This one will only benefit 1 out of 600,000 people. Are you one of them? Maybe, but probably not. Sorry, keeping it real. Keeping it real. Now, real quick. So I'm talking about 1 in 600,000. I just want to send some shout outs to some of the DFS Army VIPs that took down first place on the Monday night showdown. We crushed this one, not just from the breakdown itself. I mean, the Jamal Hill play, the Cameron Dicker, the kicker, that love. This was a real, and actually this lineup, as crazy as it sounds, popped right up in the domination station optimizer. I think it was like lineup number 14 or something. You almost had to just blind run it, and this thing popped up. So really easy, a one to produce if you used the domination station. Oscar Gamble, $14,000 richer, sharing it. Who's he sharing it with? Oh, Joe Nicolosi. What's up, Joe? Just joined DFS Army 2 weeks ago. There he is. Wouldn't have been possible. Joined 2.5 weeks ago. He joined DFS Army 2.5 weeks ago, runs the optimizer, made a couple of lineups, and bam, Actor JN, aka Jim Nicolosi on Twitter. What's up, my man? Congrats on the big takedown. I love getting these tweets, by the way. And look at all the congratulations, the DFS Army members out there supporting you and all that. Make sure you get in our Discord, Joe. That's where the magic is happening. And a reminder here that we have the Black Friday promotion going right now through Cyber Monday. 50% off your first month of DFS Army VIP. Promo code BF2024, like Black Friday. BF2024, 50% off a month of VIP. VIP here is $89.99, so you get it for $45. That's like a couple of cups of Joe over at the Starbucks. Joe Nicolosi did it. Worked out pretty well. 14 grand. Ran the Dom station. Third, fourth, 2.5 weeks in. That's what I'm saying, guys. This is what we do here. We teach. We got great tools. We have amazing projections, the prop-based projections now. So make sure to check it out. BF 2024 through Cyber Monday. But why would you wait till Cyber Monday? You got the Thursday slate. You want to get in on this now. We want to run the optimizer for that. With that being said, let's talk a little bit. Let's get back into the Thursday slate, and let's go position by position. Now, what I'm going to pull up first is another awesome tool we have here at Sharp, and of course, or at DFS Army, and of course, at the Sharp app for my sports betting people. That is the Power Rankings tool, where we're going to just take a quick look at the projected sort of offense for this game. And first game, of course, Chicago-Detroit. So if you're looking at the Power Rankings tool, Detroit projecting for 157 rushing yards and 240 passing yards in that one. So, of course, we got to be very excited about the Lions running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, if Montgomery is hurt, he's got that Q tag. We're loading up on Gibbs on this one. Now, Detroit's a favored team, but you know what? Chicago, these numbers were kind of put together on the old version of Chicago, not like the new offensive coordinator, Caleb, playing better. So I'm throwing that out and just saying passing yards, yes, for Chicago. Rushing yards, probably no, right? So the lesson here is let's avoid the Chicago running backs, probably, and focus on the pass catchers there on Detroit. Both sides look great, but of course the running game. Look at Giants-Dallas. Lots of rushing yards projected for both teams. Not much passing. Again, these are different quarterbacks, but I kind of believe those numbers. Neither team should do much with their quarterback position. And then finally, the big one, Miami at Green Bay. And this is a big one for me because, I don't know, I think that's the best of the three games in terms of just two really good teams that are playoff bound, maybe, kind of showing what they got, right? Packers at home. Packers are projecting for 145 rushing yards in that one. Josh Jacobs. He should be low owned, I think. And then, of course, the Packers wide receiver group, never easy to pick from them. There's a whole lot of them. Flip side, Miami, you got Devon Achane killing it. And Jonnu Smith, what's up with that? He's been amazing the last few weeks, so we got to pay attention to him. And then, of course, Tyreek Hill, when does the great game come? And I think Waddle's coming off a big game as well. So those are our three games, our little mini breakdown, our mini sort of matchup breakdown. So now let's go position by position and give our thoughts on the Thanksgiving slate, what we're going to do. Now, again, how am I going to build for this? I'll make a few lineups. This is definitely not a build one and hope for the best kind of thing for me, but we'll also try to kind of do our best here. So I think we want to build around game environments. We want to build around quarterback correlation stacks. And of course, there's a couple of mysteries still out there, some Q tags that we need to kind of get figured out. Again, the Montgomery Q tag is probably the biggest one. But, I mean, Cooper Rush got a Q tag as well. Imagine if he doesn't play. And Trey Lance, it's Trey Lance season. We'll have to pay attention to him. I think even Tommy D might have gotten banged up a little bit for the Giants. Yeah, undisclosed, wasn't listed. Wasn't listed on the estimated plasma. I don't know what it says here. Banged up late in the loss. So what if Tommy Cutlets doesn't play? We get some Tyrod Taylor? No, who the hell's their backup? Oh, Drew Lock. Probably better than Cutlets. That would change things. All right, with that being said, let's start at the very top here. Jared Goff at home against Chicago. That's fine. Goff, Goff usually basically goes the way that the running game goes. So if the running backs are styling, Goff is doing nothing. You can see here, big win for them against the Colts last week. Only 10 fantasy points. Not great. So Jared Goff is not going to be a priority play for me. Again, that Chicago team tends to, or that Detroit team tends to lead with their running backs. And Chicago is good to attack with your running backs. So it just makes sense that that's what Detroit will do. But again, if Montgomery's out, I like Goff a little more. And then if I do play Goff, I like him much more in game stacks because I think his best outcome will come if actually Chicago is being hyper competitive in that matchup. So let's pay attention there. But next we've got Jordan Love. Jordan Love is at home. Now he's coming off a game where they absolutely torched San Francisco and the backup quarterback. They did not need Jordan Love much in that game, and they wound up leaning heavy on the running back, which was fine. But only 23 attempts on 13 completions last week, got a terrible score. Jordan Love has not had the production that we saw last year, but I think this could be a spot where that could change. I really like the fact that Miami, I think, will come in and execute offense as well. I think Miami is going to be a formidable opponent. I don't think they're going to lay down, and they have a great offense in Miami. I think Miami will make a game of this, which means that Love isn't going to be able to just sit back and, relax and, put the beating on like they did last week. He's going to have to do some work, and I'm plugging Jordan Love into this lineup in the first look. Now, it's a risky move because Jolo is hard to stack. It's tough guy to stack. Who do you stack him with? I don't know. But we're plugging him in here. I think Jordan Love is a solid play. But continuing on, I think Tua, on the flip side, Tua is coming off one of his best games of the season, his best game of the season. And it was weird because it didn't benefit Tyreek Hill. It was Waddle and Janu Smith and Achane all catching touchdowns. And it's a reminder that Tua can get scoring going from a lot of different ways. And Tua might be the play here. It's just as good. It's just as good, really. The only way Tua misses out is if Achane is running away with all the tutties. But if not, I think they're going to have to score. And so this Miami offense, it's just not rated correctly because Tua was gone for so much of the season, and Tyreek Hill still hasn't even had a big game. I think this is the week. It's got to be. It's got to be. When? If not now, when? So I love Tua as well. I'm totally fine with playing him in the showdown. Now, I prefer a home favored quarterback to a road dog, but anything's better than a home dog. Let's avoid those. Caleb Williams also coming off one of his best games of the year. Was it his best? Yeah. Coming off of pretty much what was one of his best or not the best game of the year for him. And he looked really good. Now, this is a different challenge, Detroit, but the thing about the Lions is they're more attackable via the pass than the run. That's how you attack the Lions. I don't think, you know what? I'm switching it. At 5,300, I'm switching it. Jolo, you're out. Caleb, you're in. We're going to try to win a GPP with this one. Caleb is easier to stack. I'm switching. But this is a road dog situation. That's fine. I think Caleb is going to have to be out slinging it if they're going to stay and keep up with the Lions. I don't even mind if this is like a blowout scenario and they're just, late game garbage time points. Doesn't matter to me. Fantasy points are fantasy points. So I actually think Caleb is the better play. He's cheaper, and it's really easy to stack him. The people that you stack him with, A, they're getting tons of targets, and B, they are cheap. So that's to me, that's the better combination. I'm going to go with that. I convinced myself during because I pre-planned for Love, but as I'm looking at it and the price and the players, I just think that's a better way to go, especially in a lineup like this. We're trying to win a big tournament, not the biggest. Again, My suggestion is if you're going to put lineups in the Millie Maker, the one that I'm showing on the screen here, if you're actually going to put a lineup in that, it should be as contrarian as possible. Like, just don't use any chalk in a lineup like that, because 600,000, 3 games, and it only pays first place, basically. There's no point. All right. Continuing on the quarterback position, we've got Cooper Rush. Coming off his best game, I guess. He did okay last week. I mean, he's had actually a couple of his scores have been okay. Really, if you look at it, put up a 20 against Houston, got you almost 20 against Washington. This is not a guy to be ignored. Now, let's take a quick look at the matchup. Again, let's see the Giants, right? Not that this matters. The Giants are quitting anyway, but the Giants have absolutely been more attackable via the run than the pass. So I do tend to want to attack this game a little bit more with the running back from Dallas. But again, YOLO, right? You can't deny that Cooper Rush has been fine. So I don't mind it. Certainly going to be in my tournament mix for this week. You have to have a little bit of exposure there to Cooper Rush. If I'm playing, I mean, who you're playing him with? Schoonmaker, if he plays, I think we go right back to it. And, it's a pay up option to CeeDee Lamb, but the quarterback is cheap enough that, it makes it okay to play CeeDee Lamb. And of course, finally, Tommy cutlets. This is not turkey cutlets. These are chicken cutlets. It's a different kind of cut. Maybe veal cutlets, Tommy veal cutlets, but no chicken, no turkey cutlets at Tommy's house. And I don't think it's going to work out for Tommy cutlets on Thanksgiving either. He's going to want to be home with mama. It's 4:30. He'll probably, he's going to be missing home, haven't eaten properly. Sausage and peppers. Tommy Cutlet's house, Thanksgiving, they also do sausage and peppers. I know this. I've been to Jersey. I've been to the Jersey Thanksgivings before. Sausage and pepper is a big part of it. People don't know this. If you're not from Jersey, you wouldn't know. But sausage and pepper are a big part of it. So, yeah, Tommy Cutlet's less exciting to me. If I had to fade one, it would probably be him on this slate. All right, let's talk about the running back group. And this is a good group. Almost all of them are viable. So I really like the running back group. And we'll just talk about HN has been spectacular. He's had another good week. Where are the carries, man? It put up 20 against the Patriots last week. Who got the carries? 10 rushes, only 4 targets, still got you 20. This guy does so much with so little. It's crazy. But I'm genuinely curious who got the carries, right? Mostert, nothing. 2 carries, no big deal. What about Wright? 7 carries. So there you go. There it is. Randomly, they worked in the other guys. 7 carries for Wright. So basically, they continued to limit HN last week. Now, could some of that have been blowout run? Yes. So I don't expect a blowout here. Expect much more from their main workhorse, Devon HN. This is the kind of game where he can absolutely shine. So, yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about what happened last week. It was a blowout, and they didn't need him that much. This is different. All right, next up, we have Gibbs. Gibbs finally broke sort of the touchdown barrier here. 2 receiving touchdowns. Wow, that's crazy. Surprising, to be quite honest. Jacobs is also coming off of a really big week last week, and actually the matchup bodes really well for Josh Jacobs here. So look at all that volume. 26 carries, 3 touchdowns, unbelievable. No targets, didn't need it against 49ers. But again, I think they will need it here. So Josh Jacobs definitely in the mix. I think he'll be low owned for some reason. Montgomery also probably a lower owned piece with the Q tag. So some tournament upside there. Swift got the rough matchup. But the next area, so I think we're either going with the trio up top or pay down options here. And Tyrone Tracy and Rico Dowdle both stand out as really good sort of salary saver options at the running back position. I think we'll probably be using 3. So let's just talk about Tracy for a second here. 9 carries last week, 4 targets. Great, fine, whatever. Did okay. Giants were terrible. The offense looked like shit. And this is what happens when your offense looks like shit. I think the slightly better option might be Rico Dowdle. 19 carries, a bunch of targets last week. Didn't do much, but in terms of fantasy scoring. But this is a much, much better matchup. You got to plug him in as a favorite, a road favorite. Home underdog Tracy, not as good. But yeah, we get Dowdle going in there. I think Achane got to be in our mix. And again, I'm going to try to get maybe Jahmyr Gibbs or Tracy in that last spot. So running backs all kind of decent this week. But I would say, for me, Achane, Gibbs up top. Yeah, they're all really good. Josh Jacobs, again, very playable. So a lot to choose from at the running back position. Let's talk about wide receivers. Actually, if we're going to do this in the lineup format, we'll actually go to defense next. And there's not that many defenses to choose from, but, these numbers are important when looking at defenses. And I think it's Cowboys or Giants as your mainstays. Packers acceptable at home. Detroit certainly in play as well. But the low-hanging fruit is Giants, Dallas, and especially Dallas at home. I think that is the chalk defense play of the slate. I'm just going to plug them in. Got to play Dallas at home against the Giants, Tommy Cutlets, the whole thing. They actually look good last week. They put up a monster score. Now, forget that, but they finally had one of those big Dallas defense type games against Washington last week. So YOLO, we roll with it. Easy one. Tight ends. Again, tight end is actually, there's chock full of options here. So we'll go through all of them, but every one of these tight ends has kind of been active lately, been pretty good. Janu Smith, 11 targets, 8 targets over the last 2 weeks. That's crazy. Look at these scores. You can't ignore Janu Smith putting up numbers like that. That's bananas. Can he keep it going? He's definitely somebody I want in my Tua lineups. Can he keep it going? I think, why not? I mean, they're finally using him, so that's great. Sam Laporta coming in cheap, hasn't had a ton of usage lately. So 6 target has he passed 6 targets all season? No. What a disappointing year for Sam Laporta, right? But 3,900, he's very viable, and I think these guys are playable in the flex as well. Cole Kmet, finally, another breakout game, 10 targets last week. They were just throwing everybody in that game. Kmet didn't do a ton, but it's interesting to see him come alive a little bit. Tucker Kraft also not doing much last few weeks. Seems to catch a lot of touchdowns, but not a whole lot else. So tight end position. And finally, Schoonmaker, assuming that Ferguson will be out. Man, he got us there last week, but it was scary. At 2,500, it didn't really matter that much. But he did get us there eventually last week, and that was awesome. And that was actually a big reason why a lot of people won a lot of tournaments in DFS Army last week. It was just the Schoonmaker play was so good. But I think at 3,500, he's a little too close in price to some of these better names for me. So to me, I think we just go Janu Smith or Laporta. We pay up, suck it up, pay up. Smith is probably the baseline tight end. Now notice something that's going on here. We have $6K left in salary, plenty of money left over to play some quality wide receivers. So let's just talk through this spot. Amon-Ra St. Brown, always a stud. Q-tag, what's up with that? Non-participant, new concern. So we'll see what the story is with this Q-tag for Amon-Ra. That'll make a big difference on the slate. Now, CeeDee Lamb at his price, 12 targets last week, didn't do much. 12 targets. He's still going to be peppered with targets now against the Giants. The question is, can he get enough done to justify a 7,300 price tag? 721.28. Can Cooper Rush produce a 28-point score from any wide receiver? We'll see. They're all priced close here. Malik Neighbors up there, 9 targets last week. Again, that's the Tommy Cutlets play. So if I'm playing Cutlets, I'm playing Neighbors. If I'm not, then I'm definitely concerned about Neighbors. But we can definitely afford a pay-up option in most lineups. We'll be able to afford that. So the question is who? which one is the best of them. Amon-Ra's kind of like the safest. You know, he's definitely going to get targets. I think Lamb is acceptable, and I kind of like Tyreek a little bit as well. So these pay-up options all look good. Again, there's no one standing out as something you wouldn't want to play. Jameson Williams, 7 targets last week. You know, he's got that GPP upside. Reed, same thing. Eventually, the big game is coming for Reed. I thought it might happen last week. Is it this week? I don't know. But he doesn't get any kind of volume. He just gets it done on low volume when he gets it done. He's got 2 30-point games this season, a 20-pointer not long ago. Really, though, he needs to be at around 20 on a 3-game slate to be viable. I think he can get there. DJ Moore paired up with, DJ Moore got the fewest number of targets last week of all the wide receivers. Don't think it means anything. I'm not sure it matters, but we definitely want Caleb paired up with one of his guys. But the guy I'm going to go with is Keenan Allen, 15 targets. I mean, he was just all that Caleb was looking for in that game, so he's always open. I think we pair him up with Keenan Allen in this lineup. Put a second player in there if we need to, but makes sense to work him with Keenan. A couple other player notes, though, here, right? Big game from Waddle last week. That came out of nowhere, right? Finally. Rome Odunze, 10 targets, only 5 receptions, but he continues to be targeted heavily, and he looks good out there, too. So nothing wrong with Rome Odunze. I don't mind plugging him in this lineup as well. Christian Watson dropped a touchdown. Look at that. Oh, so disappointing. If he doesn't drop that touchdown, he would have actually put up a big score, even just a one play. And that's what he can do. Watson can win you the tournament with one play. I think Wan'Dale Robinson's interesting. 5 targets last week, got a couple points. With Cutlets, I guess he's got to throw it to Wan'Dale because, he doesn't got a big arm or anything. Slayton, no. Wicks, GPP. Tolbert, probably more of a tournament kind of play option as well. Patrick, no. Mingo, no. Mingo? He getting in there? No. Not interested in him. Turpin had a big game, or a big play, I guess it was. Kind of remembered him. Yeah, it was the week before against Houston that he had the big game on the showdown. That's what I was remembering. Luckily, we don't really have to dive that deep into the turd zone at wide receiver. Look how much salary we have remaining, over 6K. So I think we double up Williams with 2 of his pass catchers. Pick a stud, or we just go with another stud running back in this one. I like Gibbs here. If we're going to play Caleb and his crew, I like bringing it back with a piece from Detroit in this lineup. So we'll throw Gibbs in there, left with 5,900, a couple of options here. But if we just kind of fill it out, Jaden Reed with that tournament winning upside. So that completes this kind of first look lineup for the Thanksgiving slate. More importantly, we've kind of did a little breakdown of all the different games. We will, of course, have the tournament tactics crew together to kind of do an in-depth way to attack tournaments in this one. So stick around for that as well here on the DFS Army YouTube channel. That should hit on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Look out for that. And, of course, if you want to check out DFS Army now, the Black Friday / Cyber Monday special still in play. BF 2024, 50% off your first one at the BIP. Check it out. Be like Joe Nicolosi. Just joined. Where do we say? Yeah, there it is. Be like Joe. Wouldn't have been possible without the DFS Army. Joined 2.5 weeks ago. Crushed it. We want to see you getting all the congratulations and all the props out there. So good luck this week. I'll see you guys next time.